Hey, what's going on everybody? Commander Crane here, and we are back with another Pioneer deck tech. And today, we're going to be talking about mono green Cactuar plants. So, I'm really excited to talk about all the cards that we're going to be featuring in this deck today. As always, at the end of the video, let me know in the comment section below, what do you think about this deck? Is there a specific plant that I should have put in this deck that I did not? Or do you have suggestions for upcoming videos? Just let me know in the comment section. Okay, so mono green Cactuar plants. I've been wanting to feature a plant deck for quite some time here on the channel. And I've been trying to come up with different decks that I could feature here on the channel for, like featuring Final Fantasy cards. And then we got this card, Jumbo Cactuar, a card that a lot of people have been talking about from the Final Fantasy set, and rightfully so. It's such a unique card, a 1/7, and whenever it attacks, it gets plus 9,999 until end of turn, which is just hilarious. And I knew I wanted to feature a deck with this, and I figured why not we just make a plant deck out of it. Could be fun. People love the different creature type matters decks that I love to share here on the channel. So I figured, why not? Let's go ahead and do a plant deck. So obviously we're playing 4 copies of Jumbo Cactuar, but let's go and take a look at the rest of the creatures in this deck. We're playing 31 creatures in total. So obviously we are a ramp deck, so we're going to want some mana dorks to help us cast our big plants. 4 Llanowar Elves, 4 Elvish Mystic, and 3 copies of Sylvan Caryatid, which is also happened to be a plant, which is pretty nice. It's also just a really good ramp card in general. We are also playing 4 copies of Topiary Stomper and 4 copies of Bloomvine Regent. Although Bloomvine Regent is not a plant, it is still just absolutely amazing in this deck. It's such a great ramp piece. It's honestly pretty underrated in my opinion. But the Topiary Stomper is great because it's also a plant that helps us ramp. And we're going to be putting a ton of lands into play. So Topiary Stomper being able to attack and block is not going to be crazy in this deck at all. Okay, so let's go and take a look at the rest of the plants that we're playing. We're playing 3 copies of Genesis Hydra. Yeah, that's right, it's a plant. Everyone forget that this card is a plant. And then obviously the 4 copies of Jumbo Cactuar and 3 copies of Cultivator Colossus, which is also a plant that a lot of people forget about. So Genesis Hydra and Cultivator Colossus are really our big 2 ramp payoffs. We're going to be putting a ton of different lands into play, and these are the cards that are going to really help us, just kind of take over the game. Genesis Hydra, we cast a big one. We can maybe put in a Jumbo Cactuar, a Cultivator Colossus, or even just a ramp piece into play, which will be fantastic. And then Cultivator Colossus is just great. I mean, we're playing a lot of lands in this deck, so being able to take advantage of its ETB is not going to be uncommon at all in this deck. But yeah, those are our big plants that we're playing, but we're also playing a few other creatures. We're also playing 1 copy of Nylea, God of the Hunt, and 1 copy of Surak the Hunt Caller. So Nylea is really in here just to help give our Jumbo Cactuar trample. That's really all it is. And then Surak is to help give it haste, which is pretty cool. So that's why we're playing 1 copy of each of those. The reason we're playing 1 copy of each of these is because we're playing this card, Archdruid's Charm. We're playing 4 copies of this, so I wanted to play a few 1-ups that we could tutor up with this. You never know the situation. But yeah, Archdruid's Charm is fantastic. The one reason I really like it too is because of the land part of that. We can search for a land and we put it into play tapped if it is a land, and that's because we're playing a very, very good ramp package in this deck. But the other modes are fantastic. It's a really nice bite effect, as well as being able to exile an artifact or enchantment in the metagame is extremely important because of cards like Core Steel Cutter and Unholy Annex. So artifacts and enchantments are running around everywhere. That's why I also really love playing the 4 copies of Archdruid's Charm. Okay, so let's go and hop into the lands here. We're playing 25 lands, and kind of like I hinted at with the Archdruid's Charm, we're playing 4 copies of Sunken Citadel and 4 copies of Castle Garenbrig. Obviously, Sunken Citadel, we can use it to make 2 mana of the chosen color, which we're always going to name green, to help activate abilities of land sources. So one thing that's kind of cool is if we have 2 Sunken Citadels and a Castle Garenbrig, we can tap those 3 to make 6 green mana, which is pretty cool. So we can help accelerate our mana a little bit. And then we're also playing 2 copies of Lair of the Hydra. And then rounding out our lands, we're playing 2 copies of Cavernous Souls. We're going to name plant, and all of our plants are going to be uncounterable. So those pesky blue-white players are going to be super frustrated. Then we're playing the 1 copy of Beseju and 12 basic forests. And as our spicy basic land of the day, I don't normally include secret lair lands, but I mean, come on, we're playing a plant deck. Look, there's plants all over this forest. Of course, why wouldn't we feature the forest with a ton of plants? And I know what you're thinking, oh, well, forests always have plants because it has trees. No, but these are literally potted plants. When I think of plants, I'm going to think of this forest now. There's a whole bunch of plants there. And honestly, this is just a really, really cool artwork. So I had to feature this very spicy new secret lair one. Okay, so the next thing we have to talk about is the sideboard for our deck, which honestly is relatively straightforward. You know, we are a mono green deck after all, so it's not like we're going to be doing anything too crazy in this deck. But we are playing 4 copies of Pick Your Poison and 4 copies of Monstrous Emergence. I love Pick Your Poison because it cleanly answers so many different cards in the format. You know, obviously Artifact, Quarry Steelcutter, Enchantment, Unholy Annex, and Fable the Mirror. An opponent sacrifice creature with flying for opponents playing like Valgavoth or Atraxa or anything like that. It's really great at cleanly answering those. Monstrous Emergence, it's really starting to grow on me just because we don't have to have the creature in play, so we can just reveal it and be able to deal a whole bunch of damage in the early game, which is very, very important. We're also playing 2 copies of Damping Sphere. Do know it can hurt us a little bit technically, but it's just really good to play against the Lotus combo decks and any of the other Spellslinger decks. It's just really, really important. And then we're also playing 2 copies of Scavenging Ooze. I wanted some Graveyard Hate that also could gain us a little bit of extra life. You know, you can never underestimate Scavenging Ooze with the, you know, being able to grow and then gain some life. It's fantastic. And then we're playing 3 copies of Scrap Shooter. Once again, a lot of artifacts and enchantments floating around this metagame, so this is just a really good card to bring in. It's also a 4/4 with reach, so it's just a really nice body for only 3 mana, and that's why we're playing 3 copies in the sideboard. So the next thing we have to talk about is the tips in strategy for this deck. If you're looking to play this deck, you know, whether it be in paper or, you know, obviously Magic Online or Magic Arena, what can you do to help you, you know, potentially win some more games and maybe point out something that you really didn't realize before with this deck? I've got 2 things I want to talk about. So the first one is Assemble Citadel and Garenbrig. Obviously, you know, I hinted at it earlier. It's really important. Being able to assemble these lands and cheat on our mana a little bit is really fantastic. Never underestimate the fact that our lands can make more than 1 mana. It's extremely strong, so do keep that in mind with Archdruid's Charm. The other thing I had to mention, and a lot of people don't really realize it with this card, so Genesis Hydra is a cast trigger. So it's not an ETB. So before the card even resolves, that's when you do the actual ability on this card. A lot of people don't realize that. Some people just play it and then like, oh, okay, I do the thing. No, the card is going to enter first. So if our opponent does counter our Genesis Hydra, we still do get the cast trigger, and that's why a lot of people really, really love Genesis Hydra, is you always get some value no matter what. And we don't even have to cast the card that we put into play. We just put it onto the battlefield, which is pretty sweet. So definitely a huge fan of Genesis Hydra in the deck. That's why we're playing 3 copies. But do keep in mind, it is a cast trigger. It is not an ETB effect. So the last thing we have to talk about is the budget options for this deck, which I'll be honest with you, there's really not a lot. After all, it is a budget deck. Well, it's not a budget deck, but it's a mono green deck. So there's not a lot we can really do. But you can cut the charm package, meaning the Archdruid's Charm, the Castle Garenbrig, and the Sunken Citadel. That's going to cut down quite a bit of the cost for you, but don't underestimate how good those cards are. I highly recommend playing that package no matter what. You can also cut some of the utility lands like Boseiju and Cavern of Souls. You can just swap them out with some forests if you really want to. Again, you can never underestimate the power of utility lands. They're really, really strong, and you're going to play against a blue-white control player, and they're going to counter all your plants, and you're going to feel really sad. Or, you know, with your Archdruid's Charm, you know, well, I guess Boseiju goes into play, so I guess that's a bad example of playing the one of Boseiju. But Boseiju is still really good, and I highly recommend playing it. If you play a lot of green decks in Pioneer, you should just have Boseijus with you. But the current list, as it's constructed right now, is only $206 US. Yeah. That's including 2 Cavern of Souls and the Boseiju and the Archdruid's Charm package with the Castle Garenbrigs. It's super cheap to build this deck. I was able to get the budget list down to $65 US. I don't even think I changed anything in the main board except for the Archdruid's Charms and then obviously the lands. We're still playing Cultivator Colossus. We're still obviously playing the 4 copies of Jumbo Cactuar. But yeah, this deck was so fun to make. Like people, I always appreciate people that love the really oddball creature types. Obviously like plants. And you know, this is a video that's for people that maybe want to play Jumbo Cactuar in Pioneer, maybe looking for inspiration with Jumbo Cactuar, and also people that like plants. If you just like playing plants, this is definitely the perfect deck for you. It's a really spicy ramp deck, and it plays a lot of unique creatures that normally people don't play in Pioneer. So yeah, huge shout out to Jumbo Cactuar and all the different plants that we featured in this deck today. Alright, that takes us to the end of the video. As always, thanks so much for watching. The deck lists are in the description below if you'd like to check them out for yourself. Huge shout out to our channel members, Ralph, Matt, Arcadius, Ray, Gary, Saranoki, Michael D, our premium channel member, The Common Cold, Jeremy P, and BG Stilts. If you are interested in being a channel member, it starts at $1 US a month, and you gain access to the exclusive Commander Crane Discord, as well as other features here on the channel. So, I'm Commander Crane, thanks for watching this video, and hope to catch you in the next one.